I guess we're going to be going live. Very well, I am live, and want to do something a little different today. And we're basically going to be talking about what is going on in the music industry. Is the music industry changing? And it seems to be. My thing to you guys will be: is it a positive change or a negative change? However, change is most definitely. And without change, you're dying. But also, we're going to be talking about comments that you guys made and questions that you've had as far as copyrights is concerned. We're going to talk about sampling. We're going to talk about the new thing about artists being attacked. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. And then at the end of this, we're going to also talk about who won the Amazon gift card, because I've been getting quite a few emails about who won the Amazon gift card. And I'm going to clarify who that was. Um, and again, let me tell you something, guy. You're gonna find this funny. Is all outdoors, right? So we broadcasted earlier, right? And you guys didn't know it because the damn thing was listed to private. So here we are broadcasting right in the studio and went hard. Like I went hard on my broadcast. I mean, I was really dedicated to you guys and getting this information out to you, right? And the damn thing was listed to private. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, so I'm not tripping on that at all. However, um, we are here. Appreciate you guys, and we're also going to be taking question and answers. Question and answers. So basically, you guys have questions. We're going to be dealing with that as well. Now, um, as I do what I need to do, if you guys have questions, always, you know how it works. Go inside of the comment section and go inside this chat. Send me some questions. I'll try to answer what I can. If I can't answer it, I apologize, but I'll do the best that I can. Um, and let me just take care of this real quick, guys. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about give comments that was asked inside of the comment section. We're going to be talking about copyrights, which is one of the comments, and then we're going to talk about sampling. But also, please forgive me as I have not been doing live casts, and that's because I've been traveling. I've been pretty much everywhere, guys. Been to Miami, been to Jacksonville, went to Atlanta, working out some things for you guys, and hopefully you guys benefit from it. Also, we're creating a new channel, and the channel is basically going to be streaming your music. Okay, this is not the big project that I was working on or talking to you guys about, but it is a major project. So I want you guys to send your music, but we want your music to be at least mixed, or possibly even mastered, because this is going to be a reflection of you. So the sound quality isn't right. It's a reflection of you guys, and I want to represent you the proper way. However, we're going to be doing a channel that is streaming basically 24/7 your music, and it's basically going to be a beat channel where people, potential clients, can come to you. They're going to listen to the music, and it's going to be in a streaming fashion like a radio station, and they'll be able to follow up with what tracks they may possibly be interested in purchasing. So if this sounds like something you're going to be interested in, make sure you hit me in my email and let me know. And of course, we will, hook you up and tell you what we need from you guys and what you guys need to do. All right. So um, let me know if that's something you're interested in. And if you don't have my email will be at the end of this particular episode. You can look right in here in the video, and you will see the email. All right. So, but what I want to do is I want to go right into it because I want to talk about some comments that we've had, and I'm gonna be sharing it on the screen and letting you guys see some of the comments that has been made. Let's see, and then go into everything else that we have been talking about. Okay. So, first things first. This comment or these comments that was made were based on question. Oh, excuse me. These comments have questions that I think is real important to all of us, and that you need to know yourselves. All right. So I'm gonna share on my screen what it is that has been asked, and let me see how I can do this. Window capture. Okay, there we go. All right. So All right. So one of the questions basically was, uh, what am I doing? What am I doing? See, this is we got to get YouTube got to create a better system so that we, uh, those of us who don't do this like my tech guys, we can. I'm trying to figure out what the hell am I doing right now. Okay, get you. That's me. I don't know. I'm trying to share my screen, and I'm learning this as well. Uh, there we go. Okay. So, a question that was asked, guys, and I'll go ahead and zoom in. Basically, was you can see it right here. I'm gonna highlight it. Should you wait the it says should you wait the 2 to 3 months for the beats to go through the copyright process before posting, or do you recommend posting to YouTube right after submitting the beats for copyrights online? Very, very good question. And for you guys who are here in the chat, make sure you just chop it up with me and let me know that you are here. Um, so that I can, show people that, I mean, some questions that you may have. Now, let me make sure that, you know what I'm going to do actually? Let me do it this way as well while I'm doing this. And we're going to get right into the question that they asked. Um, but how do I do this? Let's see. Okay. Let me get this chat worked out real quick, guys. Just bear with me real quick. And then I will be able to, because I'm learning, I'm up in my game right now. You know what I mean? FYI. FYI, up in my game and getting this tech thing down. I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, I'm everything but someone who does this video thing. So the guys are teaching me what to do and how to make this really work. All right, so, all right. Aha, there we go. So, anyway, back to the question at hand. Should you wait 2 to 3 months for the beats to go through the copyright process before posting, or do you recommend posting to YouTube right after submitting the beats for copyrights online? Now, producers, artists, musicians, whoever online watching me right now, let me tell you this, okay? Hands down. When you create a track, when you create your music, by law, it is already copywritten, okay? By law, it's already copywritten. And what I mean by that is, and let me say it so that it is clear that, how do you say this the right way? When you make the beat, it is time stamped in the computer, okay? And so that timestamp by law is considered a legal copyright, for lack of a better word. All right. Um, and if you guys can hear me all right, because YouTube is saying that the audio may be off or something, but if it's not, that's fine as well. All right. But anyway, when you make your tracks, the track is time stamped by the computer. Okay. And when it's timestamped by law, that is considered a copyright. When you create it by law, that is considered a copyright when you created it. Now, his thing is, and what he wants to know is, should he upload it to YouTube before the copyright filings come back? Now, let me say this to you, that copyright filing is just a formality, okay? It is now being used in such a way that makes artists and companies feel confident about their music to be able to file copyright claims if necessarily needed. It also validates that you are the actual copyright owner and holder of the said copyright, in case you ever had to go to court and it was argued or disputed that you didn't necessarily have the rights or was not the original copyright holder. All right, that's pretty much it. But if you want to get technical, when you upload your video to YouTube and a platform like YouTube, you are basically placing that video within a copyright claim because YouTube is stamping the original date and time that that particular video or video and music recording was published. Okay, when you see it say published, that is a copyright claim. It was published because it's on a platform that is open to the public for all to see. So by law, that is an official copyright. But again, when you created it and it was time dated and stamped in your computer, that is a copyright. Okay. Now, for those who may not believe me, I'll do one better for you. All right. I will go in here and show you exactly where the United States government says exactly what I'm saying. All right. And so when you look at this, here is now this comes from the www.copyright.gov. All right, and it is I think it's called circulation50.pdf. And so inside of here, if you notice real quick, and I'm gonna highlight it, copyright protection is automatic. Okay. So under the present copyright law, which became effective January 1st, 1978, a work is automatically protected by copyright when it is created. A work is created when it is fixed or embodied in a copy or phonorecord for the first time. Neither registration in the Copyright Office nor publication is required for copyright protection under the law. Now that says tons, guys. You know what I mean? Just take a minute to read it. Okay, and this is a PDF that the U.S. government or the copyright portion of the U.S. government has online, and you can see it in shit plain English. You know what I mean? So when you created your copyright, it became when you created your work, it became copywritten automatically. And see, that is so powerful because people don't share this. People aren't sharing with you that you have an automatic copyright when you create your work. People are not saying to you, hey, you don't have to copyright or you don't have to do certain things or matter of fact, people don't even understand that their work is protected when they create it. So you just read it for yourselves and you saw what it said for yourselves. And this is again available at copyright.gov, and you guys can basically see it for yourselves and then utilize it to your best, however you can, use it. Now, Solid Beats is saying, great info, although I'm not US based. It doesn't matter. Are you making music or are you selling music in the US? If you're selling music in the US, it works because even though you're not based in the US, you can still use US laws. And so a lot of producers, I'm not saying that all your work is actually going to be in the US. You may have work that is being utilized in other countries. But my suggestion to you is, and like I tell everyone else who views this channel, go and research, man. Go find out what the copyright laws are and how it affects you. That's the biggest thing that you can do is find out how these international copyright laws affect you. However, when it comes to the United States market, as you just read, copyright law says that it applies to any body of work that is created point blank without publication. So that means without it being published. However, what I'm saying is when you publicize it on in the US or when you publicize it on YouTube, okay, that is considered copywritten from the point that you made it public, but it's not necessarily required. Okay, so just wanted to share that with you guys because that was a question that was asked, of course, and so peace and blessings to MPC Touch founders. All right, so just wanted to share that with you guys and let you see it firsthand, and then you'll be able to utilize it to your best ability. And this is important information, guys. As producers, as artists, as songwriters, that is so pivotal in understanding how to protect your work and understanding the language behind how to protect your work. That even if you're not U.S. based, it just says volumes at the end of the day. Okay, so wanted to share that. And that was a comment that was asked on the website. Um, Also, we have another comment that I'm going to share on the website. And I apologize. I'm going to try and get to you guys questions that you may have in the chat while we're recording. If I can't, I'll do the best I can. Also, guys, pay attention in the ticker. I am getting now. I had like 9,000 emails, and half of them is people wanting me to review their music and things of that nature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my reviewing of music strictly to my subscribers, and especially those who do super chat donations. That basically says, I find it enough, worthy, find my music great enough to be able to say, hey, here's a donation for you to take your time out, SG, and review my music. Because I have had plenty of people that just say, hey, I know your time is valuable. Here's a couple of dollars just to take the time out and tell me what you think of my music, and I appreciate them guys who do that. So thank you so much. So let me go to the next comment real quick. Well, let's do this. Let's go into um, maybe some questions that were stemmed from that statement that I just made about the copyright. That will probably be a better situation. So let me go into questions if you guys have had any. Um, okay. Firstly, big ups to um, Gavanelli. Big ups to Prentice. Big ups to Mr. Afusini, who was in here watching. Big ups to Solid Beats. NPC Touch Finals, of course. Real big ups to my man BK Bangers for the hard work that he's putting in, along with NPC Touch founders who've been banged out and gave me a lot of stuff that we are editing right now. So you'll see all of these guys tutorials very shortly, and what they're doing throughout next week. We're scheduling everything next week. We're not putting out videos every day now, just because it became so difficult to do that and then get these other projects done. So we're going to take the videos that we do have and edit them and then have them available for you guys. But anyway, big ups to all you guys, and thank you again. So Clinton Robinson asked, before I go into this next comment, when signing up for BMI, should you do tax form then or later? Um, I don't understand. Are you saying do a tax form at that moment, or should you do it later? Um, and if you're talking about actually signing up and doing a W-9 or W-8 or whatever it is you want to file based on where you're located, I would always suggest getting it done then. You know what I mean? Because your money's going to be held up until you actually file that particular tax form that they're required to do as people who are paying out money, which covers their butts as well. You know what I mean? These companies take in hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Excuse me, and they have to account for it. So when they are not able to distribute this money, it makes it a little bit harder for them to be able to account for the money that they're holding. So my suggestion would be, if you have not already and have not or are not accustomed to any other videos that I've done, telling you guys to basically set up your business, get your business set up. If you don't have time, use your personal social security number, which I'm not against. I just prefer you guys to have it in a business incorporated. um, but get that set up, sign it as soon as possible. I would definitely suggest you do that as soon as possible because it helps you more than it hurts you. Okay, so yeah, do that and make sure that you have your ish together, for lack of a better word. Okay, all right. So I hope that helps. Let me see now. Okay. So, another question would basically was, and these are some pretty good questions. Okay, let me put it on the screen for you guys so you can see it. All right, so the question is, what about beats? And I'm assuming when they say what about beats, and this comes from Keen Apollo, and he sent this question 4 days ago, which was, what about beats with samples in them? I know some guys who are partnered and upload sample beats to their channel. And so I'm going to assume by this question that he's asking about music that has samples in it and the music being uploaded to their YouTube channels. And then I'm also going to assume that he's saying people that are partnered with MCNs. Now, I don't know how that plays into the question itself. I'll just say that being partnered with an MCN does not um, it does not it does not what's the word, clear samples. Okay, partnering up with an MCN will not clear a sample. So I don't know if that's what he's trying to imply or that's what he's asking. However, I do know that that's not going to clear a sample. Okay, it's a process to get a sample cleared, and being partnered with the MCN won't do it. But I can answer your question pertaining to sample clearances or samples as a whole, and what should happen when you have a sample. All right, so let me get the obvious out the way. There's plenty of people and producers that are utilizing samples in their music. All right, um, and they're uploading them to YouTube and they're monetizing them. All right, I've seen this. I personally saw this, and I know it happens. However, please understand that they're taking a risk. Back in the older days, what would happen is you just be plain out sued. However, YouTube, because it has tons and tons of people uploading videos, and in that video there's audio and music that are a part of that particular video. Um, they've worked out a situation that allows the music, instead of your video being taken down and you being sued, that they've given the content owners opportunity to be able to make money off of the music that is being claimed or owned by said record label, i.e., Universal Music or Universal Music Group or Sony or whoever, or Interscope. So within that, most of these record labels now have content ID systems that YouTube has given them that allows them to be able to fingerprint the music that they're uploading. And so when they fingerprint that music, what it basically does is it allows YouTube to understand and know that this particular music is owned by Interscope or Sony Music. Now, when they upload this music for YouTube to put a fingerprint on, they have several options available to them. One being this: take the music down immediately. Okay? Two, leave the music up and do nothing. Three, leave the music up and monetize it. All right? And what that does for you as a producer is it alleviates you being sued um, for having a sample or publishing a record label's music or music that they own, or anybody, or artists as well. However, this does not say, depending on the views that you've received and or when they caught it, that you can't align yourself to be sued. But I have seen, again, thousands of producers get away with production and music that they produced, and nothing happens to them. Now, I'm not saying that may be the case with you. You know what I mean? You may be using a sample that is well known, and the first 4 bars or 8 bars of the sample has a James Brown um, lyric, I mean, riff in it, or first 4 8 bars is strictly a sample from whoever, and that algorithm picks that up because it's uniquely able to identify that particular sample because there's nothing behind it. There's nothing, shadowing it or um, um, creating well, shadow is the best word, making the music shadow. I'm not saying that you will get sued or they will catch it, but it's a strong possibility. My suggestion would be, if you have samples in your music, go into it with an open mind about, hey, there's a possibility that this may be fingerprinted, and they can easily put a claim on it, and I just won't be able to monetize that. But let's say worst case scenario, they contact you and say, hey, you got one of our sounds in there. We see you got 1,000,000+ 2 views. We want to get paid for it. It's all a possibility, but it's very rare that it has actually happened. So just think about that aspect of it. And what I'm saying to you, this is just brief synopsis of the possibilities. There's many other options available to you. There's many other ways to look at this. And there's many other things that have producers have done and gotten away with it. And one of the things be also when you have a sample in your song, and the first thing artists want to do is say, "Hey, have you gotten this cleared?" Well, yeah, I got it cleared. You know what I mean? Let's just be a smart ass. You know what I mean? Hey, I got it cleared because I knew I was gonna sell it. No, you didn't. You know what I mean? Most of the time, this is left up to the record label. If you are pitching to a major label, they pretty much clear it, and what they'll do is they'll work it out on either your front end monies or your back end monies dealing with the points, because this is something they'll have to pay for later on to get it cleared by whoever owns the rights to it. Okay, so these are just things to think about as well, especially when you're talking about artists who, just be honest with you, if you're dealing with a homegrown artist, with someone who is doing their own DIY type situation, you know what I mean, he may or may not sell over 10,000 copies and put it on the radar. It may not even make the radio or make the charts or billboard where someone in the industry may even listen to it to even know the sample is in there. You know what I mean? So, you have to be realistic about this whole thing, because they don't have a team of people that are just sitting here listening to 100 million songs to see if a sample is in there in their music. No, if you make the mainstream and it's a billboard hit or a charting hit, you know what I mean, something that hits the chart, then there's a possibility that if you have not had that sample cleared, it will get the eye or catch the notice of people who are over these type situations. All right, but if you're just dealing with a backdoor artist and you're doing a non-exclusive deal for maybe a mixtape or something like that, I really wouldn't worry about it. However, again, I'm not saying that it's impossible for you not to catch some slack over it. But I would just basically say, in my agreement, that it would be the up to the artist to get the sample cleared, depending on what route they're going when it comes to distribution and publishing, or who they're signed with. I would just cover my grounds and say, hey, it's left up to you guys, and I'll bite that, you know, I'll bite that cost of licensing it if it gets to that point when we reach that particular hurdle. Okay. All right. So let me see. Now I'm gonna go to the chat real quick, guys, and see what is about. Um, I'm gonna try. Okay. So okay. So first things first, I'm definitely gonna go to my team and the questions they've had. Um, uh, hello, Pika Petey. Thank you for tuning in, brother, and watching us. Thank you. Lad 5000. Thank you as well. And let me answer your question, Lad 5000. Your question is being a rapper okay if I'm white? Have you heard of Eminem? That's my answer. Um, NPC Touch Founders, which is a team member, I'm gonna answer his question because he's part of that, and I think he's asking a question generally for everyone else. How do you feel about this crazy stipulation YouTube just did with the whole 10,000 real views before you can monetize your content? I think it is. I think it's a very thought out process that they implemented. I think they really thought about that whole aspect, because I think what they did was they looked at the whole aspect. Okay, well, let's go backwards. Recently YouTube lost a ton of advertisers because a lot of ads were supporting extremist Islamic terrorist group and hate groups and racist groups and all the different things. And it was something that YouTube really didn't think about at the time, because they just created an algorithm that would basically align up the ads to go with certain um, channels or topics. So what happens is when you have a certain topic, depending on your topic, YouTube will have a correlating ad to go and be placed with that um, particular topic that you have. And if they cannot find a correlating or relating topic or advertiser to relate to what you're talking about, they just utilize a general ad. You know what I mean? They'll just utilize an ad that they'll think will do good because of your either your subscribers or the views that you do get. But what we found is that, or what they found is that extremists were using the the platform to past hate and messages and things of that nature, and most of them were under 10,000 views. Um, so they put a stipulation basically that you couldn't monetize your channel until you got to 10,000 views. Now, what I think about that is I think they're going to do what's best for them because this is their platform and they're sharing ad revenue. Um, do I necessarily agree with it? No. And I said no because strictly I think, if I generate 5,000 views, I should get paid for it. You know what I mean? But what I do know is they're going to try to basically deter based on their studies. I mean, this is something that YouTube just came up with haphazardly because they want to take away people who don't have 10,000 views. And I don't think that it's just 10,000 views per video. I think they're saying if you have not acquired 10,000 views through the lifetime of your channel, okay, um, that's who that applies to. But I don't think it's a bad thing, MPC. I really don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it actually will work for them, and I think it will help other channels who make money off of their channels. I think it puts them in a safe place with not being identified as a hate group or a terroristic group. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't channels that don't have over 10,000 views that are still doing hate and racism type ish. But I'm just saying that whatever when they came up with that, I think they came up with it for a specific purpose, and I think it's done um, systematically. I think they systematically created this situation and saw whatever studies they did that they found whoever was doing these were people that were under 10,000 views. You know what I mean? So uh, Lad 9000 is being an artist okay if I'm gender fluid? No idea what you're trying to say, gender fluid. I am from the South. If there is a terminology that is applicable or a definition behind gender fluid that I need to hear about, please share it in the comment section or the chat. Um, and Jamie Cummins, all right. BK Bangers asks, touch on some of these channels that have zero subs but has monthly revenue with zero uploads. I can't talk about what I don't know about because I did not even know there was channels that could make money off of zero uploads. You know what I mean? So you may have to expound on that. I'm not familiar with that as well. I will make sure that the team does their research on it, but I don't see how that is possible unless they. I really don't see it. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have no subs and no uploads, and you just have a YouTube channel, how are they making money? I mean, that's my question. You know what I mean? So anything that we find out, you can find out because we'll have to Google it and contact people. But I don't even think that's outside of yeah. Because even with a video, you know what I mean. Even if they had no videos, you would have to have something in the description box to be able to. Well, you know what I mean. Maybe within their let me go back. Maybe within their um, YouTube description. When people come there, they're making money through advertisements or affiliate links. You know what I mean? I don't know. Um, it's something to think about, though. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going through the channels right now. All right. Okay. So, all right. So, BK Bangers, you talk about if you vidIQ something, you see the specs. Let me explain something to you again. VidIQ is not it's not factual. It is an estimate. It's an estimate um, based on scraping bots. So the scraping bots are basically coming in and scraping the website, and they're assuming that this is what's being made by a channel. Okay, hands down. It's an assumption. Oftentimes, there could be no money made at all by that channel, or there could be a lot more money being made by a certain channel and it's not reporting it. It's based on YouTube algorithm and the data that YouTube gives per views and what they assume a CPC could be, which is based on just the common cost per click or view from YouTube and what they're offering. It's not accurate. It's not. It might not even be fucking true for one simple reason. Different advertisers pay different things, and their CPC rates could be completely different, or CPM rates can be completely different. Because, for example, if someone does something on car insurance or anything dealing with insurance, all of the insurance type ads are well over the 15, 10 to 15, up to $30 mark. Okay, and that is per view. Literally, if you have the right keywords and right search information inside of a video, and your video is relevant to what an advertiser has, like insurance, then you can make up to $30 per thousand views that you get, bro. Can't make that up. So that's not going to necessarily be accurate. vidIQ, just like Social Blade and the rest of them, are not publicizing exact figures. These are estimates and these are assumptions based on what information they're getting from YouTube. And these aren't up to date daily assumptions. These are not things that they update daily when it comes to cost per click. All right. So um, that would also say that. Matter of fact, there was one time a glitch that we got, and I think I saved it, where we had like 100 views on a channel. No, I'm saying 1,000 views, and vidIQ told me we made $20,000 off of it. We didn't make $20,000 off of it. So right. When it comes to what I mean, and I'm reading what he says. Yeah, but it's number one. Yeah, but it's number one. Number. Yeah, but it's a number nonetheless. I base it out of my channel, and it's pretty accurate on the calculation, and that's because it's pretty accurate on the calculation based on your views. You know what I mean? If you're not getting high end CPC advertising, in other words, you're not watching every ad that your subscribers watch. Okay. So you don't know what you're getting cost per click. What I would suggest you go into is in your analytics. When you go into your analytics and you look inside of the analytics and you go into the ad revenue and the base, you'll see what you're averaging per thousand views that you're getting. And it's called the CPC and the CPM. So if you go inside of that, that will give you a guesstimate of what you should be making, but it still won't be truly accurate. Even YouTube's algorithm is not going to be truly accurate. It's easier for them, and no disrespect, I don't mean to put your business out there. I don't know, but it's easier for them to make a close close assumption and accurate projection with smaller channels than it is a larger channel. Okay, those who have, you know, 5,000, 2,000 subscribers, 10,000, a million subscribers. It's hard for them to make that assumption. It's still all a guess. But when you're looking at the ad rates and revenue, which you have in your system, go inside, look at your ad rates and revenue in your analytics, and then you'll be able to see what you should be getting or what YouTube is saying your average CPC is or CPM. All right. No, vidIQ is good at statistics. And I apologize. Hitman Productions asks, "Wow, so vidIQ isn't accurate." And what I'm saying to you is that it is good at statistics. It can give you the views, things that you automatically um, can see and know. All right, as far as channel statistics, it's good at telling you how many views you got in the last 60 minutes, last 30 minutes, last hour. But the monetary situation is different. And let me say this to you: even in your analytics with YouTube, they say estimated gross revenue. The reason why they're saying estimated, because it's just a based on their figure. They haven't calculated the exact cost or the exact amount of revenue you're making, and only until they do will they actually be able to tell you what you're making. You understand? You may have a situation where they say you've only made $10, then you get $100 check. You may have a situation where they say you've made $150, right? And you get a check for $60. Now you're going to them saying, well, hey, You sent me a check for $160, but y'all said that I was making $154. They're going to tell you automatically. It was an estimated guess. Go in there and look for yourself. You don't have to believe me. Because I don't want this to be like a back and forth thing and we're arguing about what we believe to be real. At the end of the day, it's not our system. We don't control it. And we don't really know, which is the whole big deal now with everyone else. We don't really know what's going on. We're still taking it for face value of what YouTube shares with us and their algorithm. And we're also looking at it from a standpoint, this is still a computer program that is guessing. You know what I mean? It's taking views, it's talking about ad revenue, and until they get paid, honestly, what if an advertiser don't pay, or what if an advertiser disputes the clicks, or what if an advertiser? There's so many different factors involved, is what I'm saying, that you can't truly say that is an accurate assumption or accurate depiction of what it is that you should have generated. All right. And again, BK was still asking about the content. BK was still asking about the content. I really don't know, BK, how that's possible. All right, so it's something that we'll have to research. All right, but let's switch gears real quick, because those seem to be those seem to be the premise of the questions right now. All right, so let's go into um, something that recently happened real quick because I want you guys' views on it and I want to know what you think. All right, so recently, um, a situation happened with our one of our famous one of our favorite artists, which is Little Wayne. Okay, and so what happened basically was, and let me see what I can do with this. Can I? No, let me. Ooh, all right. So what happened recently was, and I'll just read the report. BET reports that the Lil Wayne. Uh, let me start from the top. Lil Wayne is not down with any shenanigans going on during his show. So BET reports that the rapper was performing in Garden City, Idaho recently when something happened that pissed him off so much that he ended the concert early. Wayne was beginning his performance of a Millie when a drink sailed through the air toward him, seemingly out of nowhere. It didn't hit him, though it only missed him by a hair. But the incident was enough to seriously piss Weezy off. Quote, Lil Wayne is quoted in saying, "Let me tell you something." Wayne said to the crowd, "I don't know if you thought I was a buster, but I'm rich, so I can throw one back. But watch this. Goon Squad, come here." And so basically, from what I understand happened and what is saying happened, um, Lil Wayne basically called his team out and, told them to throw something back. Now, the funny part about that was, as you watch the video, and you can see this, I think this was reported on Oxygen.com through our alerts. But when you look at the video, you'll wind up being able to see that Lil Wayne calls out his goon squad, which is basically his security team, and told them to throw something back, which to me was a bad idea because if he hit somebody, um, then we got the lawsuits, okay, because that's assault. Um, However, the goon squad didn't know what to throw back. You know what I mean? You saw one of the security guards take something eventually and slang it into the crowd, from the stage, but they really didn't know what to throw back. So this leads me to ask you guys something that I think is real important. How much is enough from artists? When do artists say, "Hey, enough is enough"? And you know, is it fair that Lil Wayne, was being attacked? And also, let's think about this: had he actually threw something back, or someone threw something back that hit someone who had nothing to do with it, what you do you think he would have been sued? Because more than likely, someone would have tried to sue him and said, "Oh, I lost an eyelash. I lost, I got herpes now on my lips, or something stupid." You know what I mean? Because of the incident. But however, but you know what I mean. But guys, tell me honestly, what do you think about that type of situation? Because My views is real simple. At the end of the day, these artists get paid to perform. All right, we're performers. That's what we get paid to do. But there's also many other factors involved that I don't think that a lot of people take in perspective. You know what I mean? Which is the health issue. What was thrown at him. It could have been anything. Let's get past just bodily fluids or someone pissing in a cup or spit or anything like that. What if it was something poisonous? What if it was something, detrimental? These are things that are realistic. And the reason why I talk about things like this is because you guys as producers and musicians and artists, you're subject to the same rules of engagement when it comes to people. If you get to where you want to be in your music career. But I also want to know, do we make a presumptive um, thought and be judgmental toward Lil Wayne and his response, or do we put all the factors in play and think about if the shoe was on the other foot? But hey guys, you tell me what you think in the chat, and for those of you who are watching this stream later, leave comments in the comment section because I'm really interested in hearing what you guys think or how he should have handled it. Matter of fact, that's the question I have to you guys that's live right now. How should he have handled that situation? Because what he did do at the end of the day was he walked off the stage. He cut the show short. Now I don't know whether or not he um, gave a full show. I don't know how long he performed for. I don't know if the people were robbed. When it came to his show performance, and that stems to a whole nother question. That leads to a whole nother question. Should money be given back from the promoter? You know what I mean? Because Lil Wayne left. You know, what? But at the end of the damn day, let's just look at it. Someone threw something at him, man. You know what I mean? And at that point, it's a safety call. It's a lot of different factors. You know what I'm saying? And shit. Back 20, 30 years ago wouldn't have been an issue because we didn't have to worry about all these diseases and stuff with syphilis and herpes and all this other common shit that was out. But nowadays, you know what I mean, you really have to be concerned about what people are throwing at you, who's throwing it at you, and what. And then the other obstacle was that again, you know what I mean, there can't even be really a repercussion, which is the only thing that I'm really looking down at Lil Wayne about the situation was that he instructed the goons to throw stuff back at people who didn't have anything to do with it. You know what I mean? He should have been able to pinpoint who did it and then dealt with it from that aspect of it. But I don't think that was a conscious thought process or a conscious thought that he had by telling them, to handle their business basically by throwing something back. I do think that was a little. Uh, um, I think it wasn't dealt with properly. You know what I mean? But tell me what you guys think, man. Right. And so Hitman Productions said something, and I'll just go back. He said that he should have let a security team seek out the culprit and handle the situation for him. Pause the show and have the conversation, but still give them a good show. That's a good analogy. Uh, BK Banger said, but people don't understand that they're human too. So if you hit a man with a bottle, you liable to get hit with a case of bottles, right? Because you know what I mean. Hey, he said he's rich, so you know what I mean. He can afford to do it. Um, but and Hitman Productions goes back further on to say, I don't condone or disrespect from anyone, but he has to be smart with how he moves, especially with everyone's cameras recording. Exactly. So you know, I'm good with those answers. All right. So that also leads me to another situation, which is, and again, guys, I know this is some random shit. This is not music business, but it is music business because we have to be understanding to all of these things as businessmen, as producers, and how this affects our music. And so, firstly, disclaimer: not a hater at all on any of the LGBT. The new acronym is a Q, which I don't even know what the hell the Q stands for, other than queer. But I thought queer was insulting to gay people. But now the LGBTQ community is making a stance in the music industry, and let me say this hands down, bro. You know what I mean? It goes without saying. I grew up in the industry at a very early age, and one of the things that my cousin LC Sneed told me about was always be careful what I say. If there was any gay things or homophobia that I might have had, you know what I mean? don't say it around certain people because most of the industry at that time when I was growing up, he was saying to me were gay. However, with new situations that's going on right now with Little Yachty, um, he's basically created, or his what's the word, album cover. His album cover has some controversial stuff on it, and his new album is called Teenage Emotions. And inside of the on the album cover, he has, and it's being featured that he has a lot of different depictions of, I guess, teenagers today. And one of the situations was about two men kissing. Um, Again, these are, I mean, depending on how you view, you're treading borderline on career suicide. Okay, if you have issues on the LGBT, now Q community. But what I do feel is that this is going to be a very controversial thing at some point, even though it is getting praise from a lot of different people, man. You know what I mean? It's getting praised from a lot of people in the LGBT community because they're saying basically he's breaking borders by what he's done, and a lot of LGBT people have praised him for this. However, my views on this situation is real simple, and again, what I mean, I am by far when it comes to people's sexual preferences, no one that is judgmental at all, because I understand the science about this whole thing and it's been around for a long time. But what I will say though is I think that the standards that were set on any other musician, and I think the standards that were set to musicians 20 years ago and even now, should be one that should be equal across the board. And what I mean by that is because our children, when you go to Walmart and you go to different places where children are susceptible to images and they just random buy because there is not a parental guidance aisle in Walmart, I think that it will be only fair that they did the same thing by blurring certain images so that it stays neutral and that children don't see certain things. Because I mean, let's be real, and people can argue about this. This will be a big argument. Yeah, children may see their parents kissing, and children might be um, introduced to a lot of different things that may not be good for them visually, and that can be argued because you'll have a lot of different people that says, um, have many different views on it. But just my view is that I think that this should be treated no different than anyone else, and that things like this should be censored just because children who are unaware or who parents have not taught them about the LGBTQ community and what it is to be LGBTQ. I mean, I think that you're forcing a parent to have these conversations about why two men or two women are kissing. But again, it doesn't play a part into the talent of artists who are LGBTQ. I don't think it plays, it's not anything that is, biased. I'm just saying that I think that it should be treated like any other factor when it comes to sexuality with children, and that our children shouldn't be um, desensitized by seeing something like this until that parent is ready for that child to see it. And I think that artists should have a responsibility, no different than anyone else, to make sure that their children don't see it. Now, mind you, and those of you who are 30 years and over, you probably remember there point in time to where girls couldn't have their skirts above their knee, and that things like what Rihanna's doing right now with basically every video she has, she's nude, and that there should be some kind of parental guidance on these videos because as a YouTuber and people who make YouTube, trust and believe me, if you put up anything that has any kind of form of nudity or even borderline the subject of nudity or explicit sexual content, they will halt your video and they will recategorize it and make it age restricted. However, they have not done that with videos like Rihanna's and the rest who show promiscuity and the children dress. I mean, the women dress certain ways, or they're showing their nipples or whatever. But I think that the same the same guidelines that are put just by the average Joe, by YouTubers, the music industry, and everyone else should apply to the LGBT community. But I want to hear your thoughts, guys. Tell me what you think, and tell me if you think that's fair. But just want to share that with you, as far as in what the hell is happening to the music industry. You know what I mean? Because I think it's going to a whole nother level where they're mixing now people's sexual preferences with the imagery, and it's becoming just, I think it's just getting, it's getting there. You know what I mean? I think we're into a new world. And I think we're this is just the beginning of, you know listen, at the end of the day, I can at some point see videos made and simulating sex. You know what I mean? The movie industry has it. So I can eventually see the music industry doing that as well. So, but anyway, so I'm gonna read you guys' comments. You know what I mean? And see. Wow. You know what I mean? Okay. So, um, Prentice Carr says depends on how long he performed. Plus, artists are extremely sensitive these days. Well, let me go back up. Okay. So Princess Carter says depends on how long he performed. Plus, artists are very sensitive. Okay, he's talking about the Lil Wayne thing still. Okay. All right. Okay. So BK Bangers brings up a good point. He says I think there is a fine line with that. Some of these artists are being exploited to do things to appeal to that crowd. Yes, I agree with you on that. I really think a lot of them are um, led to do some of the things that they're doing. Even though it's well known that Lil Yachty's hair has been pink, people are saying red or auburn for a while, but really it's symbolic of pink. Hence the pink jacket that he was wearing as well. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you that you know they are being exploited to do these things, and yeah, to appeal to a crowd, or there's a market, for lack of a better word. I mean, now let's get to the business side of things. There is a market to the LGBT community that is relatively untouched still, even though there are quite a few gay and bisexual and lesbian artists that have made their appearance and made mainstream. There's still an untapped market, and I do believe that a lot of artists, and I mean, because I only can go by what I've seen. I've seen producers, songwriters, ghostwriters, and even artists basically either sell their soul or give into something they were always questioning just to make it in the industry. I see this being no less the situation. I see this eventually at some time. I'll predict, this is what I'll do. I'll predict that within the next 5 to 10 years, they'll have more LGBTQ Billboard charts by people who will be coming out the closet and saying that they are of that community, of the community. I'm gonna say that community, of the community, and that they'll be leading the Billboard charts within the next 5 to 10 years, if not sooner. If not sooner. I know that's a big stretch, but I'm just saying that from now to 5 to 10 years, they will predominantly conquer the Billboard charts, because I'll see artists jumping on the bandwagon just because it's the new fad to do and making claims to be something they're possibly not. I'll see a lot of people exploiting it. I'll see people do whatever they feel they need to do in order to make it in the industry, because that's exactly what people do. They basically will do what they got to do to make it in the industry. And if that means they got to, I don't even want to say the term, but if that means they got to do it, they'll do it. You know what I mean? I can really see it being exploited. So yeah, I think you're right on that. BK Bangers, hands down. And then BK also says that shit ain't as bad as Young Thug's album cover. And you know what? I didn't even see Young Thug's album cover, but I no, I may be lying. I think I did see him with the dress on, but a skirt or something on. Right, and I think that's BK Banger said, or it might be as just as bad, as depending on your outlook, which is the key. You know what I mean? Is your outlook on the whole situation. All right, so Hitman Production said, "SG, this is in cartoons now, bro. It doesn't get any worse than that. Trust me." You know what I mean? Well, you know what I mean? I think it can and will. And I say that because I came in the industry and I dealt with Luke Skywalker and Two Live Crew. I was with Disco Rick, who was a part of Luke's team, and I dealt with all those guys and Devastator and things like that. So I can tell you that at that point there was a sexual revolution going on, and I was a young boy at that time, 16, 17 years old when it went down. So I can see it gets worse than that. I really can. I can see artists saying that they have the right to show what they like sexually and what turns them on, um, and they want to express it on their album covers. I can see it getting worse than that, bro. I can see, yeah, bro. I can see, you know what I mean? You picking up a damn CD and somebody's butt cheeks and balls are hanging out, and that's not something you want to see because that's not the way you go. You know what I'm saying? I can see it getting there. You know what I mean? Where people, are gonna respect a person's sexual preference, but you're like, I don't want to necessarily see that. So it can get worse. Hitman Production. I think it really can. So. But again, this is not about being biased. This nor are these discriminatory statements or comments. We're only making analytical observation of where the music industry is going, and we're asking, what's going on when it comes to the sexuality and the things that's being showed on album covers. You know what I mean? That's the key because is it fair to the children? And that's the way I'm gonna say it. And it goes hands down with any other explicit scene or nudity in any video or CD cover or album artwork that children can access. Um, that the parents may not be able to stop. It was one thing back in the days to be able to hide your album covers, hide the Dolomite albums or hide the Parliament albums or the Two Live Crew albums. You could hide those things, but now because children have access to it, and YouTube have not, and I'm putting this on YouTube because YouTube is one of the largest search platforms there is. They still are not able to block certain content from children viewing it. You know what I mean? They're having that issue right now with YouTube Kids, where YouTube Kids is supposed to be an app that parents can download, and it's supposed to be children friendly. And they're finding out that that's not necessarily the case. That some content is still slipping by. So imagine in a situation where this is not catered to children at all, and children run across this, and then it becomes the sole responsibility of the parent to be able to control what the children view. So, and you guys are very active in the channel, man. I'm really thankful that you guys are interacting and have interacted in the channel, and you guys are commenting and really see where we're going with this whole situation. Um, I appreciate that completely. As far as your participation, and I'll say to you again for those who are watching and have listened so far, this is not bashing the LGBT community. None of the things that we said today was about bashing or diminishing um, anyone and their sexual preferences. This was all about awareness, and this has been about communication and just commenting and really open dialogue for people to chime in and then give their views. So this is not about hate bashing at all. Again, what I mean, it can't be. Most of us have shit, if not all of us at this point, have someone who may or may not be within the LGBT community. That's not it at all. This is just open discussion to intrigue the mind and keep people thinking about the what ifs, and also thinking about our future, which are our children, and how what happens in the music industry as producers, as businessmen, and business women, how it affects our children, and we need to start thinking about this now. So and Hitman Production made a good point. He was talking about if you go back to the 70s and 80s and look at a lot of the music videos and things of that era, how a lot of things were hinted to. But I mean, it goes beyond just the hints. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, it is the hints because at one point in time, a lot of the music. Let's give an example. Um, I can't remember the artist's name. You guys can Google it. If you Google it and find out or remember who this artist is, put the name inside of the comment section or put it inside the chat. But you guys possibly remember the song "White Horse." You know what I'm saying? If you want to ride the white horse, that was a song about cocaine. You know what I'm saying? And it was a subtle way of doing it though at the time. You know what I mean? And and a lot of other examples. You know what I mean? Even the remakes that Mary J. would made, like what was that called? I can't even think of the title now. Wow, it was on her Mary J. My Life, but when she remade Come Into My Bedroom, you know what I mean? Come into my bedroom, what I got will make you spend money. You know what I mean? Come on. So yeah, I agree with you on that, bro. I agree with you completely. I'm not going to let me speak to the mic. Uh, Giovanelli, the third. I'm not going to repeat what you said. All right, thank you. Right, right. And you guys got a lot of great points, man, in the comment section, man. You know what I mean? Really too. And again, these are peace and blessings to Phase Two Pro for coming into the chat. Big ups, brother. But these are things that we cannot ignore and things that we have to be conscious about as businessmen and women because you have to make the decision how you now want to proceed in this music industry and this business. So everything we're talking about is relevant to you guys and your business and how you go about doing business and things to think about before you are put and you are subject to these situations. And trust and believe me, I know for a fact ton of you who watch this channel and watch me over the years and have followed me in the years. I'm going to hear about major placements with you guys. I know you guys are going to get major placements. I know you guys are going to be successful. Hands down, there's going to be a ton of you who do that. And these are things I'm trying to prepare you for so that you don't ruin your career or commit career suicide. So, these are just topics that we're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I'm just going to agree on a lot of things that's said in the comments. I'm just not going to say what I'm agreeing to. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Chuck Nasty says the elite who control the music industry, the image. This is a fact I learned early. I'm not concerned with charting, just creating beautiful views. Chuck Nasty 88. Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly on the last aspect of what you said. That we should focus on our creative process, but at the same time, if you have an issue with certain things or you have a moral issue with certain things, will that play a part in whether or not you do business with certain artists? Will you let that hold you back, or will you move forward, knowing that it goes against your values or religious beliefs or just the way you see things? This is the topic at hand. So, but I agree with you completely about getting the work done because many times that's what we've had to do. Many times that's what I've had to do because it doesn't bother me. Like I said, the only thing that I do have an issue with is when it affects our babies. You know what I mean? I definitely have an issue when it affects our baby. Okay. Apologize getting text in. So, oh, okay. All right. So just getting retweets. Please retweet this, guys. Retweet. You, You're lucky I didn't say retweet. I've been known to f that up completely to Twitter it. All right. MPC touch founders. Oh wow, so you did the real Freaknik SG. Yes, yes, yes. Those were the good days when you were just young and stupid, and all you had to really worry about was like gonorrhea or some shit. Stuff I didn't catch, but yeah, man. Freaknik, the original Freaknik was. Well, I have experiences, man. Y'all have no idea the things I have seen with the Two Live Crew and Miami bass era that I was in. Y'all have no idea. So yes, yeah, yeah. And so Hitman Productions laughed as well. MPC Touch founders laugh out loud. Freaknik was the business. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And Gavinelli won. Gavinelli, do you have like four different damn accounts, man? I done seen. Is that you? You got three different accounts. That's cool. But he said he went to the Zulu Nation anniversary event back in '93, and the panel discussion they predicted just about everything you see today happening with hip hop and the hidden agendas in the industry. Big ups to Marmac RV Adventures. Big ups. Thank you guys for watching us live. I appreciate you guys on here. And thank you for the shout out from Ohio. Also, sent you an email and gave you some contact information that would help you out on that question that you guys asked me. I don't know if you got it necessarily or not, but I sent it to you know your name, and so check your email and your spam or something and see if you got it. All right. So Hitman Production Group said, "Have you ever read the lyrics of to George Michael's songs?" No, I haven't. But I'm assuming that you're talking about in the chat. You're asking everybody else. Uh, Yeah, Rick James, Mary Jane. Yeah, and you guys are bringing up some great topics because this is spanning completely into something that's real about um, um, videos and stuff that were or songs that was made with the subliminal messaging. So yeah, you know what I mean. So the artist is named Laid Back. Okay, that's what's up. Appreciate that, Gavinelli. And I guess this is Gavinelli, the father, or the senior, because you didn't have one, two, or three behind that. It's just Gavinelli. So, all right. So great discussion, guys, in the chat. Appreciate it so much. Hitman Productions in the South. Hey, man. I mean, I don't know if where are you at in the South? Hitman Productions. Where are you at? Miami or Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers? Where are you guys at? If you know, don't mind sharing that with me. Also, guys, if you have questions, this is the time to ask. I definitely answer any questions that I can to the best of my ability. Appreciate the chatter in the chat box. But if you have questions, ask now because it'll probably won't be till next week that we can do another live video session, and it'll be based on comments that's asked in the comment sections and different news that we have. We'll be back on our regular schedule next week. We're producing um, my personal content. However, like I said before, I'm featuring a lot of my friends and producers that have something to give you guys. And then I will pop my head in every now and then. And working on trying to get to some of these studios as well to be able to chop it up with some of these producers and get some more good content and let you guys talk to some of my friends in the industry and let them share some music business tips and to give you insight to the music business game. But if you have any questions, this is the time to answer that. And big, okay, that's what's up. Fort Lauderdale. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? That's yeah, the Dale. You know what I'm saying? The Dale, bro. I know about the South because I'm from Tampa originally, so I know about the South. Okay, so Gavinelli asked, I'm interested in placements or ways to get publishing royalties. As an ASCAP artist, my quarterly royalties are sad. My question is, would you suggest CD Baby or TuneCore publishing and placement services? Gavinelli, and I've went over this in several videos before. However, I will touch on the whole placement aspect of it. A lot of people have different views about placements. One being that this is a controlled thing that is controlled by the industry elite and it's who you know in the industry. I don't necessarily agree with that because we didn't, you know, what I mean, we didn't really know any person. You know, how we really got on was through talent. and we also got on by reaching out to people who were in the music industry and who were doing their own thing. It was really about networking, and so placements came from networking for us. The more we networked, the more we got closer to our goals. Eventually landing us the Sean Kingston placement with Beautiful Girl, and prior to that, we had worked with everyone else: Jessica Simpson, the OJ's, JoJo, Jaheim, Donnell Jones, Sharifa, a lot of artists now that aren't really relevant. But it was a networking thing for us, which is why I talk to you guys about the community and how important it is for you guys to do what you're doing right now, when it comes to chatting right here, okay? The networking that you guys are doing is really one that is important. And eventually, you guys will learn the importance behind collaborations. Because if you can get a major placement by doing a collaboration with someone who wants to bring a different sound to their music, or writing, or artists, or songwriters, or ghostwriters, or whatever, it greatens the chance of song placements. But there's many different ways you can get placements, but our particular situation was through networking. And now, you guys have a lot of different avenues, and what has happened with the industry is it made a shift now where they're finding that these leads, to people like myself who have contacts to get the placements, are now, they're making you monetize, and they're making you pay them because they understand that their time is valuable. What I'm doing here is priceless because I'm available. I'm doing what most producers don't do. I'm doing what most businessmen in the industry don't do, which is making myself available to you guys. But there is a limit to what I how I make myself available, because whereas a lot of people have talent, not everyone may have the product that our clientele is looking for. So, if I can assist in helping you build out, um, or build yourself up, or build your product up to where it is industry acceptable, and it's at the industry standard, I'll do that to the best of my ability. I won't be able to help everyone, but I'm just one of few people who do what I do because I want to see you guys make it, and there was no one telling us. On the other aspect of it, you was talking about, um, let's see, the other aspect of it you was talking about, your quarterly royalties are sad. My question is, would you suggest CD Baby or TuneCore publishing and placement services? Now again, when you're talking about companies who basically license your service, like a CD Baby has the option for you to make your songs available for possible TV placements and royalties. Now, again, this is a business, so hands down, I don't want any of you thinking that you should be given anything. That as a business, your job will be to market yourself, and if there is um, opportunities for you to make money through services like CD Baby by having to pay an extra couple of dollars to have your music put inside of a catalog, if you deem it worthy enough, because that's the key. What I mean, everyone thinks their music is hot. Okay, and I'm not gonna poop on you on that. But if you know it's worthy enough, then yes, what I mean, utilize companies like CD Baby or TuneCore if the opportunity persists. However, be realistic to what you may or may not get out of that situation, because there are thousands of producers, in the world now, hundreds of thousands of producers in the world, and the market is now flooded in such a way that I've never seen before, which tells me one thing: you as producers now have to take your career into your hands, and that's what this whole channel's about. You taking control of your future, and it doesn't matter that there's 100,000 producers in the industry. You have over 7 to 8 billion people on the planet, and most of them are music oriented and or love music. I mean, you got to look at most of the planet population. Shit, not most, almost all of the music, the planet's population listen to music. So it's just about being creative now, to get those placements, and your royalties may not come in the form of sync agreements or license agreements from TV placements, or CD sales from a major artist. It may come just based on what you do, which is why I talked about the YouTube thing, man. You know what I mean, with you guys, because you can generate views and generate money off that alone, man. You know what I mean? That's what I told you at the beginning of this video. You know what I mean? I want you guys to start sending over music to us because we're going to create a 24-hour, 24/7 beats YouTube channel, if possible. Where we're just streaming 24 hours. The best of the best of the best, sir. That Men in Black shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not talking about Will Smith's song because that was garbage to me. However, no disrespect to you, Will Smith, but um, we plan on doing something like that so that your placement opportunities and finding potential clients becomes greater. You know what I mean? But it's why I've been pushing the YouTube platform to you. It's also why, as someone said, the hush hush on the Amazon project, we have a lot of things we're working on, man, to try to change the game for the hundred thousands of producers so that the playing field is equal and that, you can make a nice living off of your work. So um, my thing would be just be realistic to any tools that you use that are available and understanding um, the numbers game and what will make you stand out. Because what happens with us is, tons of the thousands of people, but the tons of placements that we had was based on our marketing. That was my job. My job was to market us. You know what I'm saying? So once we did the music, you know what I mean. My understanding was computer knowledge and marketing and things of that nature, and I marketed this. And so one thing that I really firmly understood was these placements that we got. The more we added that to our portfolio, and we shared that aspect of it, which you guys completely do. We do this. I'm not telling a secret. This is what you should do. The more placements we got, the more we added to our portfolio, the more relevant we became, and more people wanted to use us and use our talents. You know what I mean? To where again, now it's not even about pushing the peacemakers. The peacemakers now is being branded to all you guys. You know what I mean? Where you guys have the availability to become us and utilize our credentials and get placements. So that's why we have been um, tapping a lot of you guys, to participate in the team and show your skills and things of that nature. But there's just so much we could talk about on this, you know what I mean? And take it how you need to take it to get what you need to get done. But there's many different ways you can get it done. Um, Clinton asks, ever thought of a Facebook group? Right. Those are one of the ways. But let me say this to you guys. Go to the Facebook groups with musicians. Go to mixtape Facebook groups where artists are dropping mixtapes. Go to mixtapes with singers, songwriters, and things like that. Go to those groups and then chime in and let them know. Don't spam them. Don't go and hey, you could buy my beat for 19.99. Blah blah. No, build a relationship, man. Do the same thing y'all are doing right here. Build a relationship, go in, give your expertise, listen to the music, give your suggestions if one is needed, or say, hey, big ups. I wish I had these lyrics on my music, you know what I mean? And blah 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 blah. Let people come to you. So, with Facebook groups and Google Plus groups and things like that, use it, man. And NPC Touch Founders, I talked about the hush hush on Amazon. You know what I mean? I have to talk about it's the face. What's that? What's my favorite movie? I can't. Fight Club. I'm seeing a lot of new faces. You ain't supposed to be talking about Fight Club, bro. Okay. Hitman Production says, "What is my views on? What's my thoughts on producers organically producing their own artists, especially since distribution is now digital via so many outlets? I think it's an excellent idea. I think if you're going to take the time out to market and do this the right way, and you have a patient artist, and that if you have artists that are willing to help you promote themselves and then you're willing to empower them, I think it's a great idea to do. We've currently signed some artists, and one particular one you've seen that we talk about a lot, which was Shilu. We have Anthony September, um, and we're constantly looking for new artists. But I think that if you're going to do it, I think um, allow your artists to be realistic about it because everyone wants to be overnight sensations, and it's not plausible. Not when you have mainstream artists constantly coming out and people really not having time to listen to every artist and being favorite. And I think you need to have a crazy marketing plan that is over the top. If you have artists that are over the top, if you have artists that are more mellow, and like we have, Shy Lou is more neo jazz conscious music. You know what I mean? Given from a perspective of an international view. But if you have artists that are over the top and ready, I think you go hard. You know what I mean? You got to go hard because you have no boundaries or no rules in place. All right, so I think it's a great idea though. Clinton Robinson asks, "What do I think of Sound Better website?" I don't even know what Sound Better website is. Let me go to it now. Um, you know, what I mean, honestly, guys, I don't know of every website that comes out, and I don't even know of a lot of popular websites that come out until you guys make me aware of it. And what it seems like, and I'm just reading what it says here. It basically looks to be a it looks to be it says recording studios, mixing and mastering engineers and singers. Find studio mixing and mastering engineers, singers, and freelance music production pros by reviews, price, location, and credits. Or I mean, just without even reading it or knowing too much about it. And let me do this. Let's just go in here and see what they're talking about. All right. I see that they're hiring female singers. They got female singers they're hiring. I see, you know, top singers, mixing and mastering engineers, producers, recording studios, and session musicians for hire. This is going to be something that I definitely want to spend more time reading, and then maybe I'll even do a segment on it about it later on once I come to understand it. And knowing me, I'll have someone just reach out to them and see what they're talking about and if it's worth us even talking about or promoting. But obviously, so they have a very professional website. I like that. I think the concept is great. Um, Mastering, mixing, professional singers, custom live drum set. I think the whole professional singer aspect of it is unique. Um, However, if you are a songwriter yourself, or you are a songwriter who can write songs and you can pitch melodies and talk about references and you know what references are and things like that nature and how to build out a song. I think it will be a disadvantage to you if you cannot relay that to a songwriter who may or may not be able to catch your pitch, or you're not able to record properly. But if they have some great talent here, you know what I mean. I think it looks like it would be worth it. So I'll check this out. Like I said, I was unaware of this, so thank you for turning me on to this. And I will check it out and then let you guys know what I think about it. So thank you for turning me on to that. All right. BK Banger say turn your mic up. My mic is up. I don't have it running through. I don't have it running through the MIDI controller. I don't have anything on it. This is just basically from the system because we're making changes. Actually, we're getting ready to move the studio into another office, so I don't have the mic turned all the way up, BK Bangers. But thank you for letting me know that my mic was turned down low. Okay, so I'm gonna talk like this now so that you can see me talking into the mic. Uh, anyway, man, no, thank you so much, BK. And for those who don't know, man, me and BK is cool, man. We chop it up every chance we get on the phone, and he asks a lot of questions, and he has some great advice, and he has some great tutorials um, that he. Oh, damn it, man! All right, he has some great tutorials that he's been pushing um, in the channel. All right, so thank you, BK Bangers. Okay. All right, and I'm trying to check out some more of you guys' comments before we close this out. Because again, the only thing that's going to be available later on is maybe an hour of the video that YouTube allows us to be able to um, make available. So we're over that hour. So everything from this point is it won't be viewed or talked about. Uh, Kevin Ortiz asks, "What's a good amount of beats to upload to YouTube or another music website when just starting off?" All right, Kevin. So if you are new, what I've always told people is that um, the more you have in your catalog, the better. Okay, having a variety of genre-based music in your catalog is going to always work better for you. When you are dealing with YouTube, having a playlist that is genre-based is the best way to go. All right, so there is no set amount you shouldn't have. What I will suggest to you guys, though, because of new technology, let me tell you this that most people ain't thinking about. If you're one of the people who really don't, you're worried about your music being downloaded or ripped, then I would suggest you put not only tags in it, but I would suggest you only giving maybe 30, let's say the um, not even go from the beginning. Maybe starting from where the hook start with the track, unless you just have a dynamic intro. As far as the music, your music is concerned, that you feel is important to highlight. But man, I would give snippets of my music. I wouldn't give the whole thing. I would also use the build up portion of my music and share that and let them hear that aspect of it, and then um, when I say that, I mean from the standpoint of if you don't care about someone downloading your music, if you're going to be monetizing your channel, and you'll just make money off of the money that you make off the views, if you don't mind sacrificing it. But if you do mind sacrificing your song, and it's not something you want to do, then I would definitely take the steps that I've already told you guys about, which as far as um, giving snippets, giving highlights, giving the build up, giving the hook or whatever, and keeping it moving. Okay. Uh, and again, there is no amount that you should upload. I think you should upload as much as you create. You know what I mean? Because one thing about the YouTube network is the more content you put out, the more you keep people in tune with what you're doing. It's about the content. Hitman Production says creatives are usually weak on the business side of things because our energy is focused on the product. Yes, very true. I will agree with that. I really agree with that. Um, he says, so we need channels like yours, fam. Salute. Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate that. NPC Touch Founder said exactly what I'm looking for. My first placement. NPC Founders, believe it or not, man, you are in a place you can get it, man. Miami's still popping, contrary to what people believe. There's a lot of potential artists coming out of Miami, and there's a lot of artists that are working down in that area. Because you're not necessarily in Miami, but you're right next door to it. And think outside the box, man. Stop thinking you got to get major placements with artists, and start thinking about maybe placements with uh NPC Touch Founders. I'm gonna say the Seminole Indian tribe who do music production constantly, and they have to license music as well. But my people, my family, so I know. Um, but look, think outside the box, man, and think about getting placements in other places down there, and contacting TV production crews. There's always movies coming out of the South. There's always movies coming out of the major cities. Miami's and the Atlantas and the New Yorks and the Calis, and all the different places they're shooting films, man. Look that way. As far as your first placement. Wow. BK Banger said, shaking my head. I had someone come in on my live stream, then went and claimed a copyright on it. And I think the only way that is even possible is if maybe there's a sample or sound that you used. And not, and I'm no, I apologize. I'm not gonna say that's the only way that's being done. There are people who are just um, dicks, for lack of a better word, who would do shit like that because they'll make the money off of that video until you're able to dispute it. And then, what I mean, uh, what they'll do is basically, hold your video up, hoping that you're trying to figure out what sound, if that claim wasn't already um, clear to what sample or rights they was proclaiming to have on your music. So um, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that you went through that, BK. Sorry you had to go through that, brother. Okay. All right, guys. So what we're gonna do is we've been on here for an hour and 36 minutes, and as always, I appreciate you guys being here, chopping it up with me. And I was long overdue to be talking to my family. And just let me end this and say that BK Banger said no, I didn't use any samples. It was all stock. And and let me say this too: what some things that are claimed to be stock may not necessarily be stock, and they may actually have claim. Matter of fact, I had a friend that used a song out of one of these royalty-free websites, and it says you have to, basically just give them credit, and he did everything he was supposed to do with the credits, and it still was a claim because they had the music uploaded into CD Baby, who had a content ID with YouTube, and so when CD Baby, which they're representing the client, you know what I mean, CD Baby uploaded the song, which come to find out that the producer who allowed the music had an agreement with the artist that the music could be used on the free royalty free website for promotional use to basically promote the album or the music. And so they was allowing the music to be used in music videos or YouTube videos. What they didn't understand was that they had uploaded to CD Babies, and CD Baby has a content ID system with YouTube, and that it was automatically flagged, and anyone who used it automatically get flagged in YouTube because it was uploaded to the system. So then he had to dispute the copyright claim by pasting and copying where he got the music from, and then showed the link that talks about the Creative Commons use and the use of the music in order to get the claim taken off. So all right, family. With that being said, man, appreciate you guys tuning in. And you know the science that I'm gonna give you, man. That music is life, and if you don't understand what I mean by music is life, music has been shown to heal people. Music is a universal language throughout the galaxy. All right, on some extraterrestrial shit. So music is life. Music is healing. Music is creative. Music is influencing. Music it inspires. Music is life, you know what I mean? And there is not a day that we go by that we don't hear music unless we're sitting in the mountains of China amongst the Buddhists, and that's still wrong because they're chanting the tones. However, man, fun facts for you guys to know. So when I say music is life, music is life. Even the rhythm of your heartbeat is life. It's the sounds of the heartbeat. So with that being said, we're out, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings.